Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Junk Food and You. This is the show where I just talk about anything or maybe talk to people, do interviews, whatever I feel like doing, whatever I sort of off the top of my mind. And today I wanted to talk about candy stores. And so this is kind of a delicate subject, but I will say that I'm going to make this statement and I will sort of try and defend it, that I do not like to shop at candy stores. They are generally the place I least like to shop, particularly when I'm traveling. Having said that, there are a lot of great candy stores out there, and I think if you're buying candy for reasons other than why I buy candy, it's probably a good place. They can be good places to go, depending on the candy shop. Now, I highly support local candy stores, like small local candy stores, particularly places that make stuff or that source stuff that's made locally. I love that. I also like candy stores that are sort of like designed to be neighborhood candy stores. So they're sort of designed to sort of fill the needs of people that live in the neighborhood that want sweet treats. I totally like those. I support them 100%. The candy stores I tend to not like, there's these sort of more big industrial type candy stores that you often find in tourist areas. And they tend to specialize in imported candy from other places. And I can see why first of all, they're overpriced. I think we can all agree. Their argument, of course, and maybe it's true, is that they're paying to have the stuff imported. And some of this candy is hard to get in to certain countries. So I can kind of see that as okay, I can kind of accept that. The thing for me, particularly being sort of what I do, being like the candy critic, when I travel someplace, I'm not looking for imports. Because if I'm looking for what locals get and local candies. And most of the time you don't find those at those stores. I say most because sometimes you do find local candies at the store, and that's where I get even more frustrated because they often charge a premium for the local candy. So I've been to many of these sort of industrial candy stores where you go in and they have a bunch of imports, which I can kind of understand marking up, but then they have like stuff that I've seen on the grocery store shelves also marked up. And so it's a little frustrating for me, and that kind of gets me too. And I have a hard time. I will shop at these places occasionally. Sometimes they'll have local candies that aren't really available in candy stores or at the grocery stores, but maybe they might also have them that they are available at grocery stores, but grocery stores only sell like huge quantities. And sometimes these stores will sell smaller quantities, and it's a little bit more reasonably priced because I don't need a case of this, strange bubble gum that I found in Korea. Like, 1 or 2 pieces is fine for me. And so I might go to like a store like that happened in Korea once. I went to this sort of bulk store, and this sort of candy store, which had a lot of imports, but it had some local stuff, but it had it in like a bulk way that I could get it. So that was okay. So I do get kind of frustrated with this. And I understand like there are locals who would want to buy imported stuff because maybe they don't travel as much as me, or maybe they don't travel to specific areas, or maybe they did travel to that area, fell in love with a treat and can only get it there. I totally get it, and I'm not judging people for going there, but for me, for what I like to do when I travel is I like to get sort of the local flavor, and I find that the grocery stores are just so much better. The only inconvenient thing, I sort of mentioned this earlier about grocery stores, tends to be they don't sell individual stuff, and that's happening more and more. I'm noticing, like even candy bars, I'm noticing a lot of stores are sort of eliminating the candy shelf, and it's like a small little counter that doesn't necessarily have all of the local candies, just sort of a selection of the more popular ones. But then if you want to try something else, you have to buy like 6 chocolate bars or something like that, which for me is kind of a pain because while I might enjoy it and everything like that, I try not to eat the same candy twice. And I like to be I'm more likely to try something new and maybe something I might not like if I can buy 1 candy bar. From Arlo the Armadillo to Zach the Zebra. From almond-covered chocolate to Zoot Drops. Pick up the fun alphabet book, Treats and Beasts, featuring beasts and the treats they love. Available on Amazon or at candycritic.org. One of the other places I like to shop is actually truck stops and gas stations. They often have great selections, and they rarely sell sort of multi-packs of things, and they generally have like a huge counter of snacks and treats and candy bars and stuff like that you can buy individually. So I will check gas stations for things like that too, for local stuff. But again, these bulk candy stores, and there are some that are just, I would say, like, again, I sort of said there are a bunch that are fine, and I'm okay with them. I generally won't shop there, but I like that they exist. And I think a lot of people get to try some cool candies because of it. So totally cool with that. And I would recommend them. Like if I knew somebody who was in a place where I knew that there was a candy store that was a good quality candy store like that, and I knew they sold an import that somebody was looking for, I would recommend they buy them. You know, like I'm totally good for supporting that. I really love it when these small stores also support like local smaller brands that maybe aren't in the grocery stores or even handmade stuff. So I love that. And a lot of these candy stores do that. But there's these big industrial ones, and there's certain places in the world in these tourist areas that are just full of these industrial candy stores that just charge a premium. The other day, we were on a trip recently, and Allison was it was getting kind of late, and the grocery stores were closed, but a few of these candy stores were open. And Allison needed a bar. We were going to go on a long adventure the next day, and we wouldn't have time to buy her like a sugar-free chocolate bar sort of treat thing. And so we went into this place, and it was like $10 or $11 for a chocolate bar, and for something that maybe it would be like $2 or $3 in a regular store, because it was like a no sugar thing. It was like a specialty thing, but still. And it was just like, how do you? And that was available in that same country. Those bars were available. So it's just like, it's super frustrating. It's very gouging, and I avoid those. Like there's certain ones, if it's just has that look too bright, too industrial, not sort of local enough, and if I see like 5 or 6 of them, I won't go in. Which you think is kind of weird, because being the candy critic, you think every candy store in the world I'd jump into, but I'll be honest, I avoid some, and it's very rare that I actually seek them out. Like whenever I travel someplace new, I will often sort of look up candy stores and treat stores and stuff like that, but I am really looking for the local stuff, locally made stuff and candy stores. So I'll look at pictures of the store online and everything like that. And if it is full of a lot of imports and I don't see any sign of things that maybe are smaller brand, I'll just skip it, because I'll just go to a grocery store, and even for the local stuff, I'll check it out there. So I don't really go to candy stores. So if you're looking for suggestions for me for candy stores, there's a few that I know, and I post them on the Candy Critic map. There's a few candy counters I posted, and I definitely, if you run a candy store, let me know about it, and I'm happy to spread the word about it, unless you're one of these big industrial stores, in which case I'm not really interested in spreading the word about it, because I just feel like it feels a little like overpriced candy, and it feels weird. It feels weird to me when they're in tourist areas to sell imported candy. So you have people coming from other places to come to your country in a tourist area to buy candies from other countries. It just seems weird. Like, why wouldn't you have your own candy? Like candy from your area? And I mean, I'm even okay if you're importing, like I've been to candy stores that have like sort of a certain ethnic theme to them. Like I've been to, like in Canada, there's a few stores that sell like Indian treats and stuff like that. They're Indian families running these stores and everything like that. So it's like, it's that kind of focus, but it's just sort of the real general sort of, big brand, sort of import candy. It's funny. I can look in the windows of these stores and I see sort of the candies that they're highlighting or some of the sweet drinks they're highlighting. And the minute I see certain things, I'm like, nope, not my cup of tea, not interested. So it's like, you can tell what they are. Again, I'm not going to get into it. And if you love candy stores and love going to these, that's awesome. But just for me, for what I do, not really interesting to me at all. I really prefer locally made candy, grocery stores, gas stations. That's where I go. So thanks for watching this episode of Junk Food and You, where I talk about candy stores and why I don't go into most of the big ones. As always, you can follow me on all my social media, and you'll see where. See you later. Bye. Thanks for watching. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can go to candycritic.org to find links to everything from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. You can also read well over 1,000 candy reviews, with new ones coming all the time. Candycritic.org also has links to pick up my latest books, as well as some cool candy-themed merchandise.